But yeah, I went to Duke University for grad school, focused on creating maps for cruise lines to show where they can discharge their waste products.
Because everyone loves to eat when on a cruise, right? They never think about all the waste that's on that ship.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's a floating city. I didn't even know the military had an environmental program. I just thought that they defended our country. But yeah, they are actually one of the greenest industries out there, making sure that as they're conducting their mission, that they're protecting the environment as well.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Career Education Learning Center podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Rivers. And we discuss different careers and options for people who want to do something, whether it's a new career or start a career, or young people who are thinking what career they want to pursue. So today we're going to talk about the environment. And today we have Emma Watterson. Emma has over 20 years experience in the environmental management system. How are you doing today, Emma?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me on. How are you?
I'm doing fine. And like I said before, we try to do different careers and different paths, and I haven't really had somebody involved in the environment, which is very important. I think sometimes we take it for granted, until we see trash here or till we hear about our water being polluted, or especially when we're not getting enough rain, when they put those water restrictions on.
That's right.
People love to have their green lawns and wash their car clean. And then once those water restrictions come, then they're upset because their lawn turned brown, their car is dirty, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Then you go down to the lake or the river, to have fun, go boating, skiing, and other things, and you see all that pollution there. And so that's why I'm so happy to have you on our show today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Well, Emma, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into that career.
Awesome. Well, so I went to University of Massachusetts, or UMass, Amherst, and I majored in environmental science there. And after I graduated, I knew I wanted to do something in the marine biology, environmental science realm, but I wasn't quite sure. So I had an internship actually for NOAA Fisheries down in North Carolina. And so I worked with them for the summer and really enjoyed it a lot. And then I went on and did a year teaching environmental education. And after that, I moved up to Virginia, and I knew I wanted to do something in the environmental realm. Oh, I forgot. I went to grad school. I knew that was in there somewhere. But yeah, I went to Duke University for grad school and focused on creating maps for cruise lines to show where they can discharge their waste products. So you have to be a certain distance from shore and a certain depth as well. And so then I moved to Virginia, and I knew I wanted to, again, do something in the environmental field. And I wanted to save coral reefs, but they don't exactly have coral reefs up here. So I actually applied for a job at Fort Eustis as working with environmental management system, which is an overall arching umbrella over all of compliance to make sure that all the parts and pieces work together. So I started working for them, and I was like, well, I never dreamed I would be working for the military. I started off as an Army contractor and became an Army Air Force contractor, and then jumped over to the Navy, worked down at Cherry Point for a little bit, and then came back up here to Virginia, and have been working here for the last, almost 11 years now. So
that is a great story. I tell you what, that's a great journey right there. Now, one thing I'm going to touch on, which I didn't expect to talk about, is cruise lines and that trash. My gracious, because everyone love to eat when on a cruise, right? They never think about all the waste that's on that ship.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's a floating city.
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand is that we produce a lot of stuff, but a lot of that stuff that we produce, products and other things that can be harmful to our environment if not taken care of. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Now, did you always want to be involved in the environment since you were younger, or this something that came upon you maybe when you were in college or something?
Yeah, I always loved being outdoors. I grew up on a vegetable farm in North Carolina. My parents were farmers, and then I've always been health conscious as well. And I knew that everything was kind of interconnected. And when I went to undergrad, one of my very good family friends said, you should look into environmental science instead of a basic biology degree. You can do more with environmental science. So that's how I got into that.
So we really had major environmental sciences. Did you do any internships or did you work during the summers that involved the environment?
I did. So when I was in high school, I was a camp counselor in Maine, and I worked on the nature ecology program up there, and we identified trees and plants, birds, and then during the summer, I came back to North Carolina, worked there. And then after I graduated from UMass, like I said, I worked for NOAA Fisheries as an internship for a summer, and was focusing more on, we did a couple different studies. We were looking at fish habitats, and then we were also looking at marsh grass and figure out the effects of tides, and also the periwinkle snails that live on the marsh grass. We were looking at that and different populations. So, yeah, and then, like I said, I didn't even know the military had an environmental program. I just thought that they defended our country, and really grateful for everybody who has served and continues to serve. And, but yeah, they are actually one of the greenest industries out there. They're making sure that as they're conducting their mission, that they're protecting the environment as well.
Yes, I was in the Army Reserve, Emma, and so you're right. We talked about the cruise being a floating city, so was the military. And so when we went to, I went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm in 1991. When we go somewhere, there's a whole city involved. And I didn't even know that. And I was in the military. We had everything. We had the finance area, the mail area. We had dental. We have the doctor area or medical area there. And we have different type of areas there. I was in a transportation company. And so we had fuel trucks set up at different points for the trucks can go back and forth carrying supplies. So there's a lot more into that as people they think about, right? They just think about, we go fight and come back. Well, you got a lot of support. You got medical support. You got supply support. And you got the docking where you got to dock at, talking about rivers, right? When you dock at different ports to move all that equipment that we had here in the United States to move it over to the Middle East. And so there's a lot that goes into that. The same thing, environment. What did you take away from learning an internship about fisheries? What did you come away with that? What did you learn?
It was really cool to see how everything is even more connected. And just, I learned how to collect data. I learned how to be more observant. I learned how to work with different people. I think that's the best thing about internships too, is when you're in a classroom, you're more focused on the skill work. But when you're in an office or an internship, you get to learn how to work with the people. And I think that's one of the biggest aspects of any job really is learning how to work with different types of people too.
Was that some of the challenges you had when you went to your first internship? Were there any challenges when you first got there? And then all of a sudden you say, oh, I'm gonna have to do this and do that, because I know that happened to me. I had challenges when I went to the military. I thought the military was this. I said, oh, it's that. So what were some of the challenges you had, or were you just very nervous going into your first internship?
I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure. I'm a perfectionist at heart, and I want to make sure that I'm following the rules and I'm doing everything and doing all the steps. And I don't ever want to mess up or let anybody down. So I think that's what made me the most nervous. And once I realized when I got there that everybody was really trying to help each other out, I think that's what I learned the most is we're all on this planet together, and how can we help each other out more? I think that's what I learned the most when I was there.
And that's what we're talking about here at Career Education Learning Center. We want to tell people, especially students, about internships, about co-op, or if you can work something close to your field to see whether you like it, you'll find out whether you like it or whether you don't like it, and then you can switch fields without waiting too late to get that degree in that field, which you really don't want to work in, right?
Yes. I absolutely encourage internships for sure. It's a way, not only, like you said, you get a taste of what the job is like, you also get a taste of what is it like to work in an office with other people or out in the field or seeing it. Is this something that I really want to be doing for an extended period of time? Or it's really getting an opportunity to get the whole experience. And that's what I really love about internships too.
So where you work at now, what are some of your duties that you work at now? And did your past experiences help you with what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I am the program coordinator for environmental compliance audits for Navy hospitals, clinics, and readiness training facilities.
That's a lot.
So, it's a mouthful for sure. So we conduct triennial environmental compliance audits. So this means that each of the installations and facilities, they're on a 3-year rotation. So they're not being audited every year. They're audited on a 3-year rotation. And we don't have to do all at once either. So we usually do anywhere from 7 to 15 installations and facilities a year. And so we're looking at air quality, water quality. Water includes stormwater, wastewater, drinking water. We're looking at solid waste, pollution prevention, recycling. We're also looking at regulated medical waste and hazardous materials. And so with the auditors, we're going room to room, department to department, we're looking to make sure that they're following regulations. And really we're making sure that if a regulatory agency like the EPA or Department of Environmental Quality or whatever the state regulatory agency comes in, if they come in, we want to make sure that they're in compliance with those regulations and Navy policies as well.
Yeah, and I think people like it was the military or the government sector or the private sector, it's very important to know that we produce a lot of waste and we don't think about it. It comes to trouble, right? Everybody know about as far as maybe energy. I live here in North Carolina, and so we have Duke Energy, and everybody always concerned about energy waste or plastics and all that stuff. But we never think about all the waste, a total environment that we need, right? We don't think about drinking water until we don't have no water to drink, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When I went to Desert Storm, there's like an environmental section or drinking water area. Make sure wherever the soldiers go, there's proper drinking water. And so when we got there, it wasn't quite ready yet. And so I learned about bottled water early in the 90s. A lot of bottled water.
Yes.
A lot of bottled water. Now, as a person that's involved in the environment, when you were younger, did you go camping a lot? And do you still go camping a lot, being a nature outdoor person that you are and eating healthy, ladies and gentlemen? She also eats healthy.
Yes, I love camping. So like I said, when I was at summer camp, not only was I helping with the nature ecology program there, we also would go on camping trips. And it was great. We learned how to canoe. We would canoe up to wherever we were camping and love camping there. And then, my family loves camping as well.
That is great. Being involved in the environment, can you tell us what do we need to do as a country to get better as far as, I know we're trying to do recycle. Everybody has recycling now, which is improved. When I was younger, we didn't have recycling bins. It's more conscious to where you see more commercials and print ads about recycling. What do you feel like we can do as a country or even in the state to improve our environment or improve the ways that we deal with waste?
Absolutely. I think just being educated and finding out what can be recycled where and what day is your recycling go out, and make sure that things are sorted the way. Sometimes there's single stream recycling, which means you just put it all in one bin, and they have multi-material recycling facilities where they've got blowers and magnets and different things to sort everything out. Or sometimes you have to separate everything. So just really getting an idea and getting that information out there about, okay, what can we recycle? What are we recycling these days? Where can I take things? Or if you have household hazardous waste, like if you've got leftover paint or any chemicals or anything, you want to make sure that you can get in touch and have that information ready of where you can drop these things off. Or if you like to go camping, like we do, if you've got empty propane tanks from your camp stoves or anything, knowing where to be able to take those as well.
Yeah, that really is concerning as far as, like I said before, we, especially as Americans, have a lot of stuff that we have that can be very wasteful and very toxic. I remember back in the day, the aerosols, and we used to use the aerosols as far as deodorant and stuff, or hairsprays and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I know it's talking about the dangers it was doing in the ozone layer, right?
Right.
And so I remember them saying, no, we don't need to do that no more. And so that's some of the things that we're not conscious of, right? Right. I don't think students are conscious of that we're doing. When you went to environmental science, you stated before, what type of job opportunities are for young people who's seeking or a person who intends to be within the environmental science area?
Absolutely. Well, and that's the great thing about environmental science too, is there's so many different directions you can go, whether you want to be out in the field doing biology or chemistry, or if you want to be teaching environmental education, there's environmental policy. You can do regulatory inspections. There's so many different options that you can do with environmental science that I feel like there's something for everyone. Environmental science encapsulates so many different options for people too.
Yeah, and that's what I want my audience to realize, that that's a wide open field. It's one of the fields that we don't think about, right? I mean, there are a lot of young people out there who are environmentally conscious, and maybe, their parents want to go one way, but they feel empowered to go another way. And I think getting that education across to the parents is important, but we get more people in your field. How much has your field changed in the last 20 years? How much has we changed as a country as far as environmental awareness? And how much are we getting better? Now, notice I said how much we're getting better. I don't know if we are getting better. I'm just assuming that we as a country are getting better. I know that statistically we're down at the bottom as far as recycling and other environmental impacts that we're supposed to be responsible for. But let me just ask that question then. Are we improving since you started in the environmental area?
I think what I love most about environmental management system is that, or any management system, is with the Plan, Do, Check, Act, there's always looking for ways to continually improve. And I think as long as we're not staying stagnant, as long as we're continuing to find better ways of doing things, even if it's just 1% being better every day, and the little things do add up. So I think that's one of the things that I love about environmental management system, again, is that we're reviewing policies or reviewing different documents or reviewing everything in the program. So you're making sure, okay, how can we make this more efficient? How can we make sure that we're evolving with the times? How can we make sure that we're continually improving as well? So absolutely. And there've been a lot of changes, especially in the last couple of years. And just, again, knowing that we're all in this together, finding out ways to get more information out there, being willing to get outside of your comfort zone too. Going back, I know we were talking about what are the different options for environmental science too. Again, like I said, I didn't even know the military had any options in terms of the environment. And here we are almost 20 years later. It's so cool to see how we can just learning new ways to improve, learning new ways to work together and improve the environment as well.
That's great. And I like how you explained that to us. What can we do? Do you see what can we do to even improve? Because you're talking about improving 1% every day. What are some of the things that we can do to improve our environment that you see from your perspective?
So one of the things is just making sure that you're up with when does the recycling come, or where can you recycle different things, making sure that you're conscious of the amount of water that we're using or the amount of electricity that we're using too. How can we reduce the amount of waste that we're producing too? I know we were talking about cruise ships, is that comes off of there too, and just living our everyday lives. How can we like reusable water bottles, one of those, getting different life water filters and filtering out. And like, I know microplastics has been a big topic lately, and
yes,
the PFAS and PFOA are the forever chemicals. And so making sure that we can use reusable water bottles, reducing the amount of plastics that are out there too. So those are some of the things we can do. And just depending on where you live too, sometimes if you can work on, if you have access to a community garden or compost piles, figuring out what can be composted, what can be recycled, what needs to go to the landfill, those different things too.
Yes, definitely. One thing just popped in my head, and you're talking about recycling plastics. Are we getting any better with the plastics that we see the plastic bags we get from grocery stores, or the plastic bottles that we use every day? Are we finding ways to recycle that? Are we doing better doing that? Because I know when it first came out, while these plastics came out, we don't have to use the paper bags anymore. Let's use plastics. And all of a sudden people say, we used all these plastics. So now we got this buildup of stuff that need to be recycled. And it takes so many years for the decomposition or whatever. And I'm just wondering, are we getting better? Are we finding ways to really help our environment? While we using all this stuff we're not supposed to use. You suggested using a filter, for water, or using a canteen instead of going to get that plastic bottle. Are we getting better in that, Emma?
I think we are. I think there are more options out there now, and it's just making sure that we're educating ourselves and seeing what's out there. Sometimes we don't know what's out there, but I'm glad you brought up the topic of plastic bags and reusable bags. I know some places have actually banned plastic bags, and like you actually have to purchase the plastic bag in order to get out of the store. I always keep in the back of my car, I always keep a bag of reusable bags. So I take that in with me when I go to the grocery store, when I go shopping. And so those are little things that you can do to get plastics out or reduce the amount of plastics that's coming out.
When you said, I just remembered, there are some stores, especially here. I know in my area here in Charlotte, North Carolina, Food Lion and Harris Teeter have plastic bags that you can put them into. So that I also try to do that, Emma. I'm trying to do my part too. So whenever I get a bunch of plastic bags, I take it down personally. Don't ask somebody else. Go get rid of plastic bags and put it in the recycle. So we're trying to do our part, Emma. We really are. We got our little recycling bin. We put stuff in the recycling bin, and then we take it out to the trash. They pick up every other week. And so ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that I'm trying to be a better environmental person and better awareness and conscious of how we handle our waste in our household.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes, places like Harris Teeter and Food Lion, they do have those plastic recycle. You can bring your plastic bags there. They have they'll take your aluminum cans. So if you don't have access to your regular recycle bins, check in with your local grocery stores. A lot of times they'll have a couple bins out front of their outside the store where you can drop off your plastic bags. I'm glad you're doing that too. That's awesome.
Well, I think my audience probably did not know how much environmental conscious I am. And that's why I'm so happy you came on my show, because I think about the environment a lot. I think, try to keep the parks clean, the water clean, the oceans clean. We have a big lake here, Lake Norman, and how much they try to really keep it clean and viable. Of course, when you at the fishing industry, right? Fishing and other water things that they have there, like water sports, as well as hunting and fishing in an area. And so you want, I'm going to say, the fish and other mammals and other creatures that lives in there, Because we all seen the pictures of the turtle get stopped up with this plastic and this and in my office stuff, and had to bring the turtle in and take care of it and bring it back out. So hopefully we'll be more environmental awareness. Do you have any suggestions to our audience or those students or people who change careers within environmental science? Any suggestions for them if they choose to go into that career?
Absolutely. Well, I recommend being open-minded. Check into internships and talk to your student advisors. And if you're in college, I recommend talking to your student advisors, see what kinds of things. A lot of times they'll set up some kind of a career fair or career day, and where you can ask questions. I'm always available to answer questions too, and point you in the right direction. It's always great to meet new faces and meet new people and help point them in a direction, and sometimes we don't know what's out there, what kinds of opportunities are there, and so just talking with and seeing what kinds of options are out there too, and again being open-minded.
Well, can they get in touch with you on LinkedIn? Are you on LinkedIn, correct?
I'm absolutely on LinkedIn. Absolutely.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get in touch with Emma, send her a contact request or invite on LinkedIn, and she'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Emma, I'm sorry. I'm so sad we had to go now. And I could be talking about the environment all day long. Even I didn't know I can talk this much about the environment. But I just know it's very important. It's up to my heart. I was a Boy Scout, so I learned to be prepared, and clean up whenever we went camping. And so we were, even then, back in those days, we was environmental conscious. Thank you so much, Emma, for coming on our show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Mitchell. It's awesome to be on here.
And I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for joining me, Mitchell Rivers, on another terrific episode of the Career Education Learners in the Podcast, where we're making your career dreams a reality. God bless.